I was still holding Mia's bouquet when I saw the text. One hand full of roses, the other unlocking my phone like a dumb reflex. Everyone was laughing, snapping pictures outside the church. My rented tux itched, the sun was cooking the back of my neck, but that message cut through all of it. You're done. Consider this my gift to you. It was from Todd Lawson, that smug little bastard, son of my boss, and the same guy who spent the last 3 months trying to edge me out of my own damn project. I stared at the screen like it was in another language. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going, and where are you joining from? I handed the phone to Mia. She glanced at it, then up at me, and I'll never forget the way she smiled. Not shocked, not panicked, calm, almost. Knowing, you'll want to check your messages later, she said, slipping her hand through mine. Today's still yours. What the hell did that mean? I stood there, heartbeat thumping like a damn jackhammer in my chest, trying not to let it show. The church bells were still ringing. My mom waved from the steps. Mia's cousins were throwing rice. The photographer yelled for us to kiss. So I did what any man would do when the ground starts crumbling under him. I shut off my phone and walked out of that church like nothing had happened, smiling, waving, pretending. My jaw clenched so tight I thought I might crack a molar. See, I'd spent over 2 years managing the Westfield redevelopment. It was my damn blueprint, my team, my daily schedule down to the hour. Todd had no right, no authority, but it didn't matter. He was Lawson's kid, and nepotism moves faster than logic. I tried to forget about it. I really did. At the reception, I laughed when I was supposed to. I raised a glass. I kissed my wife like everything was okay. But it sat in the back of my skull, burning. 3 hours in, we were halfway through our first dance. That slow, awkward shuffle couples do when the spotlight's too damn bright. And I saw my cousin Jerry sprinting across the floor, waving my phone. "Dude," he panted, shoving it into my hand. "Your phone won't stop blowing up. You've got 96 missed calls, 14 from your old boss." He grinned like it was a joke. But when I looked at that screen and saw Mr. Lawson's name again and again, something flipped. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I ducked out during the cake cutting, slipped upstairs to the groom's suite, bolted the door, and finally turned my phone back on. Voicemail count, 11. Texts, over 100. The first message was from Mr. Lawson himself, the founder, not his idiot son. "Hey, it's James Lawson. Listen, I don't know what Todd told you, but he had no authority to actually fire you. I need you to call me back." Immediately his voice was tight, controlled, but behind it I could hear panic chewing at the edges. Next message, worse. "We've hit a wall," he said. "We can't access the compliance system. Nobody knows the damn passwords. The team's locked out, we can't find the revised schedule, and the city's already on our ass about missing documentation." I sat down on the arm of the couch, listening one after another. By the 5th message, he didn't even sound angry anymore, just desperate. "We can't even get the updated plans. Permits are stalled. If we don't respond by Monday, the whole Westfield site's getting shut down. And I don't intend to let that happen." And that's when it hit me hard. I built that entire back end, scheduling, compliance, safety protocols, all of it. It wasn't just some software we bought off a shelf. I designed the logic, customized it for the crew, layered in reports, automated audits, even a digital training platform. I was supposed to onboard 2 other leads before the summer, but guess who blocked that? Todd. Mr. Cut Corners himself. Said it was redundant and a waste of hours. And now, there was no redundancy, no access, no clue what to do next. I was the only one who knew how the damn thing worked. For the first time that day, I started smiling. Mia pushed the door open behind me. She'd ditched her heels and had frosting on her shoulder from one of her nieces. "Everyone's looking for you," she said. "Did he actually fire you?" I handed her my phone and played the last message. She listened, arms crossed, then looked up at me with this tiny raised eyebrow smirk. "Sounds like someone's drowning," she said. "Yeah, and I'm the only one who knows where the life jackets are." I should have been pissed, and I was, don't get me wrong. But underneath that, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, control. "You know the best part?" I said. "Todd never even asked me for documentation, didn't onboard anyone. just cut me off like I was some intern. Now he's locked himself out of his own job. Mia walked over, took my face in her hands. I need to tell you something. She didn't blink. I work in city compliance. I just stared at her. You what? I've been reviewing the Westfield files for months. I flagged some of Todd's recent changes. They didn't match the safety data. You've been sitting on this? I've been documenting it, quietly, waiting for the right time to file a formal inquiry. She leaned in closer. Getting you fired just made it even easier. You're clean now. Out of the line of fire, my head was spinning. He fired me thinking he was cutting weight, and instead, he cut the only rope holding the place together. I let out a laugh, a real one. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't faking it. I could take them apart right now. Yep. What do we do? She shrugged. We go on our honeymoon. I raised an eyebrow. Let them sweat, she said, grinning. It's your turn to enjoy the weekend. I picked up my phone again. 32 new calls, more messages flooding in by the second. I powered it off. Let's pack, I said. Belize isn't going to wait. The moment we touched down in Belize, I powered on my phone just long enough to block every number tied to Lawson Construction. Then, I dropped it into the hotel safe, grabbed a beer, and finally exhaled. Day 1, nothing but sunburn and rum. Day 2, swimming in blue water so clear, I forgot what stress felt like. By day 3, the front desk guy had started leaving handwritten notes with the voicemails. Another 5 calls from James Lawson. Someone named Todd tried 3 times, sounded nervous. I didn't call back, didn't text, didn't even think about them. Day 4, the offers started. First message said they'd double my salary. Second, a signing bonus. Third, ownership stake in the redevelopment firm. Day 5, I came back from snorkeling and Mia had her laptop open under a palm tree. They just posted this, she said, pointing to the screen. City Infrastructure Review Board is hiring a third-party consultant. They need someone to help write new compliance standards. I read the listing twice. It was perfect. They want someone who knows how these firms cheat the system. I looked at her, heart beating like I'd just found a golden ticket. I am the system. She just grinned and handed me the laptop. I didn't waste a second. By that night, I'd drafted the foundation for a brand new consulting firm, called it TrueSpan Integrity, something that actually meant something. I used the hotel Wi-Fi to file the LLC paperwork, grab the domain, build a logo, set up contracts, all of it. It was like every hour I'd spent dragging that firm forward finally snapped into focus. I wasn't just walking away from the old job, I was walking towards something better. By the time our plane touched down back home, the LLC was live. Paperwork stamped, EIN issued, I had a business. And 1 hour after landing, my phone rang again. Mr. Lawson. I answered this time. Thank God, he said. Listen, I don't care what Todd did. I don't care what he thought he was doing. We need you back, not just as an employee. As a contractor, I let the silence sit for a beat. Then I hit him with it. You're too late, I said. My first client's already the city. That pause, long, tight, heavy enough to crush a man, he got it. Right then, he understood. I wasn't just stepping away, I was stepping over him. I'd be the one building the system they'd have to answer to. Every document, every permit, every safety measure Todd fudged was about to be peeled back like a rotten wall. I see, he finally said. Do you? Another pause. Then quietly, congratulations on your wedding. I hung up without saying a word. I submitted the first report to the city within 48 hours of signing the contract. By the end of the week, they launched a full audit of the Westfield site. 3 weeks in, my system flagged 6 violations. Not small ones either. Major stuff. Structural integrity, fire safety, non-compliant subs. Violation 1, Todd approved a foundation pour using a thinner concrete mix to cut delivery costs. Violation 2, replaced the rebar supplier without vetting the new one. Steel failed the stress test. 3, fire stops were missing in 2 stairwells, fully skipped. 4, 5, and 6. Variations on the same garbage. Rushed inspections, unsigned permits, and altered timestamps on core safety logs. The city had seen enough. They pulled the entire Westfield redevelopment contract from Lawson Construction. No warning, no appeals. The project was reassigned to a competitor firm, one with a clean record and no family drama. Todd? Suspended from the industry pending review. Word spread fast. His LinkedIn profile vanished overnight. I heard through a supplier buddy that he tried to get work in New Jersey, but the black mark followed him. No one wanted the liability. Mr. Lawson? Heart attack. Minor, but real. He collapsed in a board meeting 2 days after the audit results hit. Stress, panic. Probably shame, too. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't gloat. But I also didn't lose sleep. That old man let his son treat me like trash for 3 straight months. He watched Todd gut my role, ignore protocol, and run the biggest job in the company straight into the ground. And only when the numbers tanked and the city got involved did he finally act. By then, it was too late. Mia and I didn't talk much about it. We didn't have to. She saw the whole storm from the inside. She'd been collecting data since before Todd ever touched my job title. Instead, we focused on what came next. TrueSpan Integrity took off like a damn rocket. 2 more city contracts signed within a month. Then, a private developer reached out asking for a custom compliance system for their new luxury complex in Atlanta. I flew out, pitched it, closed the deal the same week. Mia got promoted, full manager over infrastructure review. We bought a small place outside of Lexington, nothing flashy. 3-bed, 2-bath, a big yard with real trees, something that felt like ours. For the first time in a long while, life actually felt stable. Not just busy or productive, real, honest, solid under my feet. Then, exactly 1 year after the wedding, a thick white envelope showed up on our doorstep. Handwritten return address, James Lawson, no text, no email warning, just paper and pen. Inside was a 4-page letter, not begging, not selling, just respect. He opened with an apology, said he took full responsibility for letting his son run wild, admitted he ignored warning signs, and said losing the Westfield contract was the wake-up call his firm needed. He said he'd cut ties with 2 of their long-term vendors over shady bid practices, restructured his executive team, fired his own nephew from the project management office, started mandatory ethics training for every lead and senior staffer. At the end of the letter was a formal request. No pitch, no numbers. Just a simple question. Would you be willing to evaluate our new protocols? I sat with the letter in my lap for a long time. No anger, no satisfaction, just quiet. Mia found me reading it again later that night. She handed me a glass of bourbon and leaned against the doorframe. You gonna answer him? Maybe, I said. But not tonight. And I left the letter on the table, didn't shred it, didn't frame it, just left it there, as proof the hammer had finally fallen. A week later, I parked outside Lawson Construction's headquarters for the first time in over a year. The building looked the same. The logo was still bolted across the brick in big, proud letters. But something about it felt smaller now, quieter, like it finally understood what it was. I walked through the glass doors and headed straight to the front desk. The girl working there couldn't have been older than 22. Fresh face, sharp eyes, definitely new. Meeting with Mr. Lawson, I said. She smiled nervously, picked up the phone, and within 30 seconds, a young project lead I didn't recognize came jogging around the corner to escort me upstairs. The hallways were brighter, lighter staff, no side chatter. I caught glimpses of computer screens with software I hadn't built, newer stuff, better interfaces. They were trying to move forward. I could respect that. They led me to the conference room I used to hate, the one where Todd first cut me out of a major design call, the one where they used to fake praise with backhanded compliments and last-minute reassignments. Now, it was just quiet. Mr. Lawson stood as I walked in. Todd didn't. They both looked older, not just in the face, in posture, in the way they waited for me to speak first. I pulled out the chair but didn't sit. Todd spoke up, voice low. I owe you an apology. He reached into his coat pocket and laid a check on the table. No envelope, no words on it, just a number. I glanced at it. Full cost of my wedding. I'm talking down to the catering, DJ, even the linen rentals. Every single thing I paid for that day. Itemized, researched, and reimbursed. He followed it with a small silver USB, placed it neatly beside the check. "It's your old scheduling system," he said. "I had someone recover the backups. No one's touched it since you left. I didn't pick it up." "Not yet." Mr. Lawson cleared his throat. "We want to rebuild the right way, from scratch. Transparent access, full documentation, no buried shortcuts. We're offering triple your current consulting rate." I looked down at the table. A blank check, a USB drive, and 2 men who used to treat me like a replaceable part. I looked back at Todd. "My terms?" He nodded. "Whatever you say. You'll do every training module. No shortcuts, no skipping through videos or half-assing the certs. I understand. No one covers for you. You show up. You learn everything you blocked." Before his voice cracked, but he kept eye contact. "Okay." I finally sat, picked up the USB, slipped it into my inside jacket pocket. Looked at the contract. Mr. Lawson slid across the table. Triple rate. Scope outlined clearly. Crew roster ready for onboarding. Access to internal audits. Clean terms. No bullshit. I signed it, then pushed the check back toward them. Todd blinked. "You don't want it?" "I didn't ask for it," I said. He didn't argue. Mr. Lawson stood and extended his hand. I shook it. Firm grip. Real this time. They didn't try to smile. Smart move. 2 weeks later, the headline hit my inbox like a brick. Audit launched into bribery allegations at Hawthorne Build Group. They were the competitor that took over Westfield after Lawson got the boot. Big name, flashy site banners, deep pockets. Turns out they had deeper secrets. A whistleblower inside the firm leaked emails, fake inspection stamps, off-the-books payments to city reviewers, and thank you dinners that looked a hell of a lot like bribes. The city launched a full investigation, and just like that, Westfield was wide open again. I sat on the porch that evening, rereading the article while Mia watered the basil pots. She glanced over my shoulder and saw the headline. "Well," she said, flipping off the hose, "that explains the timing." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. We both knew. Mr. Lawson didn't come crawling back just because he felt bad. He saw this coming. Probably heard rumors before it hit the news. He reached out because he wanted his firm positioned to take the project back the second Hawthorne collapsed. Smart, yes. Honest, number. I felt played. Again. Mia caught my expression. "So, what now?" she asked. I sat there for a minute, watching the sun drop behind the neighbor's roof. Then I stood up, walked inside, and grabbed my phone. The next morning, I called Mr. Lawson. "You didn't want me to consult," I said. "You wanted me as a shield." He didn't deny it. "It was strategic." "Right. Well, here's my strategy. I don't consult anymore. I partner." He paused. "My firm handles compliance and oversight. Yours handles design and build. And it's 2 separate companies. One contract, joint accountability." He stayed quiet for a second too long. I could picture him running the numbers, weighing the power shift. "I'll take it to the board," he said. "You've got 24 hours. 23 hours and 11 minutes later, he called back. "They've approved it. Send over the paperwork. I already had the contract drafted. 3-year term, equal voting power on scope changes, shared liability clauses, full audit transparency. I made sure every inch of control I'd fought to earn was locked in. I signed it that night. Mia handed me a glass of wine and sat beside me on the couch. "So," she said, "you're back on Westfield?" "No," I said. "We're back. And this time, we were building it on our terms." Westfield came back under our partnership contract 3 weeks later. The site was a mess when we re-entered. Mismatched plans, incomplete logs, missing vendor contact sheets. Todd didn't even speak when I walked the lot with Lawson and the city reps. He just kept his clipboard tight to his chest and followed like a shadow. We started from scratch. New safety workflows, re-approved designs. I rebuilt the compliance interface from the ground up. Mia worked with the city to draft updated zoning guidelines that forced every firm, not just ours, to follow tighter protocols. And Todd, he was back at square one. We put him on the lowest rung, literally. Job title, site process trainee. Every morning, his inbox got a new training module. Every night, a test, multiple choice, essay, or live walkthrough, depending on the topic. He didn't complain, not once. He showed up early, answered questions, took notes. Still, I didn't trust it, not yet. Then one morning, I dropped by unannounced, just to see for myself. The sky was still dark, coffee in hand, and the crew was setting up scaffolding near the west entry. I spotted Todd standing off to the side, checking rebar spacing with a level and a measuring tape. Not just watching, working. He looked up, surprised but not defensive. "I wanted to double-check the math on the stairwell specs," he said. "Didn't sit right when I reviewed the module last night." I stepped closer. "You're not even scheduled for that one until next week." "I know, but I need to understand this from the ground up. No shortcuts." I stared at him for a second. He wasn't acting. He wasn't putting on a show. He actually meant it. I waited until he'd finished marking the beam, then asked the one question I'd carried for a year. "Why'd you fire me that day?" He didn't blink. "Ego. I hated how much my dad respected you. I thought if I cut you out, I'd finally earn my own spot. But all I did was prove I didn't deserve it." I didn't say anything for a minute. Just watched him check the level again. "You know," I said, "I could have mentored you." He stood up slowly. "I know." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Maybe I still can, if you earn it." He nodded. No comeback, no eye roll. Just a quiet, "Okay." The city scheduled a public update for the Westfield project. Standard requirement when a contract gets pulled, reassigned, then dragged through the press like ours had. Mr. Lawson asked if I wanted to present. I shook my head. "Todd does it. Alone." He paused, brows tight. "You sure?" "If he's serious about learning," I said, "he proves it now." The room they booked was a community center off Jefferson. Maybe 60 chairs, folding tables along the side, lukewarm coffee in a big silver urn. I showed up late on purpose, sat in the back, hood up, low profile. Todd stood behind the podium, both hands flat on the sides like he needed to hold it steady. His shirt was tucked in, collar slightly wrinkled, tie crooked, but his eyes were clear. "Before we start," he said, "I need to acknowledge something." The room got quiet. I was part of the original team that mismanaged this project. I made changes that ignored safety protocols. I let pressure cloud my judgment. I took shortcuts that could have cost lives. No script. No lawyer-sanitized statement. He owned it. Then he walked the crowd through every fix we'd made, showed the updated system, broke down new fire stop protocols, supplier transparency logs, third-party inspections. He fielded questions from a few angry locals, some of them hard, some personal. One woman raised her hand and asked why anyone should trust him now. "I don't expect trust," he said, "just accountability." Later, a man asked about load-bearing tolerances. Todd hesitated, then said, "I don't know, but I'll get you the answer by tomorrow." The room softened after that. By the time the session ended, nobody stormed out. Nobody yelled. People even stuck around. Todd did too. He didn't bolt the second it ended. He stepped off the stage and went person to person, listening, answering, taking notes. I slipped out before anyone saw me. Next morning, I walked into Mr. Lawson's office, dropped a binder on his desk. "What's this?" he asked. "Final module results." He passed them all. He flipped through a few pages, still unsure. "He's ready," I said. "Approve the promotion." Mr. Lawson looked up. "And if he screws it up?" "You pull it," I said. "No safety net. Keep the leash tight. Trust gets earned one day at a time." Months passed. Westfield moved faster than projected. No shortcuts, no surprises. Our hybrid model hit the local news twice, then picked up by a regional business paper. Articles started calling it the new standard in municipal partnership. Other cities noticed, so did private developers. Emails started stacking up from places I'd never pitched. Atlanta again, then Cincinnati, then Fresno. They wanted what we built: clarity, safety, and no hidden agendas. Todd, he stayed on track. He became what I never thought he could be: a real coordinator. Led weekly safety reviews, ran workshops for junior staff, asked questions, owned mistakes, and actually gave a damn. One afternoon, my old assistant from back in the Lawson days dropped by my office. "Guess what?" she said, leaning on the doorframe. Lawson wants to promote Todd again. I didn't even look up. Fine. But he gives the next public presentation, solo. She blinked. You're serious? Dead serious. Laid out how the system changed, walked through what wasn't working yet, and what they were doing about it. He even highlighted 3 suggestions that came directly from community feedback and how they'd already been implemented. He wasn't nervous because he wanted to look good. He was nervous because he didn't want to fail them. I didn't ruin him. I reshaped him. That night, walking past the site with Mia, the air smelled like cut lumber and fresh concrete. She slid her hand into mine and asked, "Are you happy?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "I'm satisfied." The company was stronger. The project was safer. And I was exactly where I belonged. Not by sabotage, not by revenge, but by building something no one could take from me. My phone buzzed. Text from Todd. "Thank you for believing in the change." I typed back, "Just don't waste it. Some gifts can't be returned."